Alright, everyone, we have to talk about the 2020 election shakeup because Gillibrand just dropped out. She did not make the third debate stage. Gabbard will not be in the third debate, and I think Steyer was the other one that didn't quite make it. And then, we've got a bunch of also-rans that nobody even hears about. It's funny because the DNC, in order to block Gabbard from being in this debate, which is really what they wanted, to keep her out of the September debate so she couldn't attack Warren. That's what it's about. In order to keep her out, they had to cherry pick through the polls. Like, if you look at the aggregate on RCP, which is the most reliable aggregation site in the world, you'll see she's several steps ahead of Klobuchar, she's ahead of Castro, and yet they got in and she didn't. How did the DNC accomplish that? They only took polls where Gabbard was at like a point or 0 points and aggregated them. And so they really didn't... Here's the thing, they don't care what bottom tier candidates are in, as long as it's not Gabbard, because she's the only one that shows the fire, the drive to actually attack the top. No, because it's about as long as she's out, it's basically a three-way race. It's between Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren, and then the court jester, which is Bernie Sanders, who they're going to treat exactly the same way as they treated in 2016. It's their fucking gold, dude. The writing's on the wall. They've already coronated some combination of one of two neoliberals. Biden, who is their main guy, they want him. And if he fucks up because he's, demented, then they're willing to settle with Elizabeth Warren, because Elizabeth Warren is basically a female Joe Biden anyway. She's carefully groomed herself for several years now to sort of pretend that she's a progressive. She's not a progressive. She never has been. Look at her fucking voting record from the past. Are you that gullible that you actually believe that? But then, Gillibrand, she didn't make the stage. She's like, well, fuck it, basically. I'm going to drop out. Trump almost immediately tweeting. He's like, it's a sad day for the Democrats. I'm glad they never found out she was the one I was really afraid of. He's not being entirely tongue-in-cheek here. And people pointed this out. Several people were tweeting at me, chuckling about this. Did I not say very early on Gillibrand was the main threat to Donald Trump? There's a reason for that. She's well-spoken. She looks good. She has the it factor. If she had been given a chance, she would have had the it factor. The one thing that's going to give Donald Trump probably re-election is the emergence of youth fervor for a very far-left conglomerate within the party. They want a Sanders or a Kamala, someone who's willing to say socialism is a good thing and the U.S. should basically be like the USSR. That's what they want. So in a normal race, Gillibrand would have been a front runner. She'd have been like, look, she's got the experience, she's got the look, she's of the proper age range, it matters. She's got that one identity wedge issue, namely being female, that she can use without being haggard and elderly. Her voting record is, roughly in line with the rest of the liberals, but it's not like socialism, far left. It's just a generic far left platform. It would be considered moderate now, but it would be considered far left maybe 8 years ago. That's how far the Democrats have lurched off. Unfortunately, they lurched a little too far off for her or even Julian Castro to be actually palatable to the average Democratic voter that actually answers polls. Namely, that's going to be skewed towards the ones that are really activistic. Who do you get excited for? Some neoliberal who could have run 30 years ago? Or someone who's peddling free ice cream and free everything else, as long as your boomer parents have to pay an 80% income tax rate on their dividends and interest? Bernie Sanders and all those people get people excited. Sanders a little bit less now. He's no longer even the furthest left. Castro made it onto the stage. Yang made it onto the stage. Klobuchar, who nobody fucking talks about. Look, the fact that Gabbard is out and Klobuchar is in is the biggest farce in modern politics. Klobuchar is a half a point behind Gabbard in the aggregate, or more than that, arguably. She's got 0 in most of her polls. Nobody knows or cares who she was. She started off with a bang. Her speech announcing her campaign many moons ago was during a snowstorm rambling about climate change. The optics of it were never there. She almost immediately got her legs swept out from under her by claims from staffers, former staffers, that she would get irate and throw things around and occasionally hit people by accident, that she's got a huge temper. Gillibrand never faced that problem. Gillibrand also was great within the party. She had as well another bonus, which is that she came out very early and often against Al Franken. She was one of those Democrats who said, look, enough is enough. That, by the way, was strategically the right decision to make, even if they lost a seat in the Senate. They hazarded themselves politically, but they made the right decision because Al Franken became untenable. Here's a picture of Al Franken doing what Al Franken has denied for months. Not going to go over too well with the voters. You got so many problems with the Democratic Party. Trump comes out, confirms what I said all along, which is that Gillibrand was indeed arguably the most qualified to take him on. She just never got any traction. And it was fairly clear even early on when she never got out of the mid-single digits. Like the highest she was like 4 in the aggregate. When that was her peak, it was clear that barring a miracle, she was never going to go anywhere. With Gillibrand out, the odds of Biden being nominee just skyrocketed in my estimation. Here's why. I can't imagine the average Gillibrand voter is going to flock to someone like a Kamala Harris or a Bernie Sanders. Maybe an Elizabeth Warren. It might buoy her support, but her point or two probably goes disproportionately to Biden. And again, a sixth poll was released post-Monmouth. People are saying it's Monmouth or Marmouth or something like that. I'm just going to say Monmouth because it looks like it and I don't give a fuck. Their polling firm obviously sucks dick. They came out with their outlier poll. You've had 6 polls now in the lead up to this debate that gets Steyer out, which means it'll be a single night instead of 2 nights. They would have had to have broken it up again if Steyer had been in or Gabbard, which is probably another reason why they wanted to try to cherry pick the polls to disqualify people. I just think that it's extremely dishonest that Gabbard happens to be the one disqualified, not Klobuchar or Julian Castro, both of which are behind her. It's a weird situation, though. Biden now, in the lowest of the numbers, the new numbers, is at 26. The highest of any non-outlier poll for anyone else is 24 for, I think, Sanders, and that's an outlier, too. So nothing's changed. Biden's right where he was. Gabbard won't be in the debate, which means that what Gabbard should do is she should compete with the debate directly and use a YouTube stream. She should literally set up a YouTube stream or Twitch or something like that, or do a Reddit Q&A, or she should appeal directly to the tech generation. Because that's really, the tech-literate crowd of creators and online activists is really where you need to focus. You get a disproportionate boost in your support from one of them joining you because they're much more efficient at reaching other people and making content and memes and stuff. Gabbard's already a meme candidate. Now, some of it is, I don't know if she embraces the Mama Gabbard sort of thing where they have, like, you know, pictures of well-endowed asses. It's like Gabbard 2020. Or it's like pictures of her being cute or so. Okay, yeah, we understand she's a younger candidate. Gillibrand, by the way, could have easily had that, except that she got outflanked by the far left. She never got taken seriously. The DNC didn't give her any support. Probably, this is just, maybe it's proof positive. Maybe Gillibrand, you know, well, out there in liberal land is actually an honest individual. That would be funny. There was one moment, though, where Gillibrand didn't help herself. That was when she went to church. You'll remember that when she went to church several months ago and she started breaking down into basically gospel ebonics. It was way worse. Just look it up, Gillibrand church speech or something like that. I can't imagine it's not on there. It was worse than Hillary Clinton on the black radio show talking about hot sauce. It was worse than when Elizabeth Warren got grilled by Charlemagne the Man on his radio show about the fact that she was the original Rachel Dolezal, whatever he said. It's so great. By having Tulsi not there is like the debate's going to be a wash. It'll be Biden and Elizabeth Warren making their points. Kamala will join and she'll be the attack dog, which means she's happy. It was funny because when Gabbard was disqualified from it due to this, apparently briefly there was a party trending about it from all the Kamala fans laughing about the fact that Gabbard wouldn't be there. Haha, yas, Queen Slay, Kamala 2020. It's like, Kamala will not be the nominee. Kamala Harris already peaked and then receded to her long-term mean. You're just a bunch of fanatics. You think that Kamala's great. If you looked at her prosecutorial record, which you won't, you'd know that she's not. The thing is, it's very funny. They had to drag out the Ma Russia bullshit and claim that Gabbard was an Assad asset in order to keep people from looking at the prosecutorial record. And that certainly helped with the core fans that gobble up swill because they're a bunch of ideologues. Look, every candidate has core fans that'll swallow anything that they can shoot out. Trump's got a bunch of core fans that think that he's not a pudgy 70-something. He'll probably win. I think he's good for the country. He'll probably have my vote, but he's not a god emperor. He's just Donald Trump. That being said, that qualifies him a lot more than the Democrats, including Gabbard, by the way. I don't have any sense of Gabbard mystique. I'm just astonished by how the DNC can possibly think it's a good idea to exclude the best debater from the debate stage when she's clearly, in every sane aggregate, she is ahead of several of those that will be on stage. She is demonstrably, provably, objectively ahead of Klobuchar. She is ahead of Julian Castro. She is arguably ahead of Yang. She should be on the debate stage, but she's not going to be there. And it's a bunch of bullshit. You know, you should get, at this point, probably only the top 6 or so candidates should be there anyway. Nobody else has viability. But if you're going to have non-viable people there as throwaways just to make it look like there's still a race involved, why don't you at least have the one interesting person you've got there? Mike Gravel, he had the number of individual donations needed, but the thing is, you can't really place in a poll that your name's not on, now can you? That's the other problem. The DNC relies on polls that don't even poll on everyone. It's not equal. Some people will literally just pick off the first person on an alphabetical list. Maybe that's why Klobuchar, did they do the first name first? Isn't it Amy Klobuchar? That'd give her an advantage now, wouldn't it? Wait, Andrew Yang. Now she'd be a little bit ahead of Yang. AM as opposed to AN. I'm just mouthing off at this point. But that's basically how the DNC does it. We saw it was a crooked election in 2016. The Democratic primaries were a scam. And it's going to be the same way this time. And increasingly, people who back some of those candidates, like the Gabbard backers and stuff, you're going to see. You're going to see how the DNC fucks you in the ass. You get to see it. And they'll get Gabbard. She's already come out in the wake of this. She said, there's no way I wouldn't endorse the eventual nominee. There's no way I wouldn't back them, because she wants a cabinet position or something. It's good for her career. That doesn't mean you should vote for the eventual nominee, because it's not going to be Gabbard. It's not going to be someone palatable to anyone with common sense. It's probably going to be either Biden or Warren. I give Biden a greater chance, assuming he doesn't go full-on dementia mode. He's still at his 30% or so. Elizabeth Warren's 10 points behind him, but it's not going to be Sanders. Oh man, Sanders is a nominee. If Sanders is nominated, I'll just declare Trump the next president the same day, because there's no possibility of him winning. I don't think this is any possibility of him being the nominee, but I suppose we'll see on that one. That's about all. Peace out.